Chairperson, and greetings to members of the committee and to officials from the department.
Sorry to disturb, Honorable Nomval. Chair, did you know that my hand was also up? Honorable Totex.
Yes, you'll talk after Mr. Swart. Sorry
And
about
Mutawung, Chair.
okay, I think my gadget is doing those things of not showing all hands. Okay, Mutawung will be the last one. Thank you. Proceed, Honorable Nomval.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson. I think I was interjected when I was concluding my greetings to everyone who is part of this meeting. Chair, let me start by saying that we've just made two gruesome discoveries this morning. The first gruesome discovery is around the definition of a word, fantastic. The minister comes to this committee and tells us that the NPA is doing a fantastic job. And I don't know the criteria that she is using to assess the work of the NPA, which makes her to arrive to a conclusion that the work that they are doing is fantastic. So it is our firm position that if there's anything that the NPA has done under the incompetent NDPP, who is part of this meeting, and we're very surprised that she has not resigned until today. It means she has a very stubborn conscience. If there's anything that they've done is to turn that institution which used to enjoy integrity and credibility into a basket of shame. All the high-profile cases that they were supposed to use to showcase their strength to the whole world and to the whole nation, they failed to execute them properly and in line with their statutory obligation. Advocate Batoi came here, and our memory will never collapse us because we still remember vividly what she said when she was in this committee. I think we're dealing with the APPs. She came to this committee. We asked her about the case of Sindiso Makaka, amongst prominent cases that we're dealing with in this country, in which the NPA is failing to execute its duties. She confidently and openly said she doesn't know anything about the case. We can go to the archives. We will hear her saying that. Today, the case is making rounds, and the NPA decided to make a very lame statement last week, a statement which only gives accountability, which only gives a half-cooked and a microwaved accountability, which does not give details of how they dealt with the matter from the first arrest until today. Because remember, an arrest was made a long time ago and charges were withdrawn in that case. There was no explanation of why charges were withdrawn and why the NPA arrived to a conclusion that the evidence that was before their hand at that time was insufficient. So the charges were withdrawn on those bases, and they did not bother to give a proper and thorough explanation in that statement. And the minister has the audacity to come to this committee and tell us that the NPA is doing a fantastic job. I mean, we're not all fools in this country. Maybe you can fool your friends, not us, because we can trace and we can
Chairperson.
we can give. No, but I did not interject you. Why are you interjecting me? Did I interject you? Did I interject you? Why are you interjecting me? Because I disagreed with what you are saying, with what you were saying. I kept quiet because I knew that an opportunity to engage you will arrive. Why are you interjecting me? No, man, don't do that, man.
Apologies for the interjection. I think it's important to be allowed to disagree vehemently. I think the choice of your words is what has triggered a response. You can vehemently disagree, but to go to an extent that we're not stupid in this country and stuff can be a little bit problematic. You can still moor your points properly without trying to be seen as undermining what has been presented, but you can fairly disagree with what has been presented. Sit on.
Can I come in, Chairperson?
Yes,
Yeah,
proceed.
but Chair, before I proceed, I will need your guidance. Is it unparliamentary to say we are not stupid? And please refer me to the rule that says it's unparliamentary. Is it unparliamentary to say, to claim that I'm not a stupid? Is there anything wrong there to say I'm not a stupid? So I must say I'm a stupid.
No, there are insinuations that the presentation projects that either Parliament or the people may be stupid. That is the insinuation that the comment is making. So
No, Chair, you are making a wrong conclusion. But we want to state it on record that as the MK party will continue to call for the resignation of the current NDPP, because we believe that her continued stay in that entity is a liability and is a serious liability to a proper administration of justice in South Africa. We're always ready to give evidence of this assertion. We're always ready to engage anyone who might be tempted to disagree with our perspective. But we'll never, in any platform, be intimidated, and we'll never stop making a call for the removal of Advocate Shamila Batoyi from the NPA. And when people come here, either they are members of parliament, they are not, they enjoy protection in this community through the chair. Because when he feels that we are going beyond necessary in terms of complying in the rules, he has a responsibility to protect such people. So there's no one who is unprotected here on the basis that they are not members of parliament. We just wanted to make that point before we can make our further submissions. Chairperson, we have noted the presentation that has been made here by the department. We have noted what they call a strategic plan and what they call an annual plan. And in my view, and in our view as the MK party, this strategic plan is not strategic on the following basis, Chairperson. When we appeared, or when we sat in this committee, we made propositions on how we think some of the entities can be best turned around by the department, including the Deputy Minister has tried to deliberate on the issue of the small claims court, but not to the full extent, because we believe that the issue of the small claims court does not only require the issue of monetary jurisdiction, but including the issue of ensuring that there is enough, or there are enough funds which are put in place to ensure that we have designated commissioners who preside over matters, so that there won't be, because there are people who go to small claims court to seek for legal help, and they do not get such legal help because the commissioners can only avail themselves on a voluntary basis, and they do not get any salaries. So we're expecting that they are going to deliberate more in that regard, to say we are planning to hire a certain number of commissioners, and for that, we think this is the amount that can address that deficiency. So we are not happy in that regard, Chairperson. Secondly, on the state attorney, the only place that we have gone to as this committee to do oversight is KZN. And I can only talk about KZN and not about other issues, because I'm one person who does not believe in the reports which are in black and white. I believe in going to places and see what is being reported about, or what has been reported about in these meetings. When we went to the state attorney, we were told, and we saw it ourselves through our naked eye, that each attorney is given files which are more than 1,000 to do such files. Now, in the state attorney, we have a problem of a backlog, which is caused by that reality that, one, there's a problem of understaffing. Two, the systems that are which are being put in place, the operational systems, are also contributing to a problem of a backlog. How? We made an advice, Chairperson, that in trying to reform the administration of the state attorney, we can benchmark from the RAF, for instance. RAF has challenges, but it doesn't mean that you can overlook even strengths in that entity. To say, make a different divisions in the state attorney, have a division which will deal with the registration of files, have a division which will deal with the merits, have a division which will deal with the quantum, with settling matters finally in terms of agreeing on the offer which is given by the state attorney, because many matters go to court even when they are straight cut matters which can be easily resolved without taking them to court. And when you take them to court, you are incurring more cost because there will be legal costs which are involved. But the explanation that was given in the state attorney was that they are creature of instructions. They can't on themselves take decisions to settle matters. The problem is with the police department. They do not get instructions, and the police department does not cooperate sometimes. They don't even reply to their emails when they want to take further instructions from them. And the advice that we gave is that there must be an interministerial effort that will ensure that there is a collective approach between the two departments, the Department of the Police and the Department of Justice, in ensuring that we're dealing with a problem of a backlog, which makes the department or the state attorney to be inefficient and ineffective. So we made that proposal. So we're hoping that maybe this report will also arrive to those areas to say the problem of the backlog in the state attorney will be resolved by doing A, B, C, and D. We always say, Chairperson, that as the MK Party, we are not here to join a chorus that seeks to endorse everything. We're not going to join a choir and say we endorse, we are happy, we welcome. Where we are not happy, we will criticize without any fear of contradiction. And where we are happy, we are going to compliment unapologetically so. And we're not going to pretend as if we are happy when we are not. The second thing that we're expecting to see in this report is how the legal aid, which is a very important institution which represents the poor, and an institution which was established to ensure that there is access to justice. The legal aid, the problem of the legal aid is similar to a problem of the state attorney. The legal aid is understaffed. The legal aid does not have, in terms of how matters, it's a question which I was asking in all the meetings that we're having in KZN when we're doing oversight, to say, what criteria are you doing to distribute matters or to allocate matters to legal practitioners? Do you consider experience? Do you consider the strength? Do you consider the complexity of that matter before you take a decision to say this matter goes to this legal practitioner? And then I was never satisfied with the responses. So the report doesn't dwell much on how the department seeks to transform the administrative operations in the legal aid board. And then another gruesome discovery that we discovered when we were doing oversight is that many of buildings which are used here in KZN are used, they are not owned by the state. They are not owned by public works. they are owned by private landlords. And some of those private landlords did not even bother to honor our invitations to meetings, to our meetings. They were sending junior staffs. Now, the DG talks about a pillar or a strategic objective to enhance a capable and ethical department. You can never enhance capability and an ethical department when you still have outsourcing. The first thing that you need to do is to enhance the capacity of the state so that it can be able, or of the department in this context, so that it will be able to deliver basic services. You can't have a department which deals with serious documentation, which is used in court, which relies on private landlords for occupation and for safety of such information. The state attorney, for instance, when we arrived there, it was under construction. We called the landlord to come and explain. We left that building having not gotten proper and adequate answers to some of the questions that we had because the landlord was not part of the meeting. Now, we say we want to build a capable and ethical department, but we're not talking about a strategy to insource workers who work in the department, cleaners, securities. We are not talking about a strategy to procure buildings that are going to be owned by the state through public works. And then we say we'll enhance. I think it remains imaginary, and I don't think it can be achieved under such circumstances. So we need to have more strategies on how we can build this capable and ethical department. And in my view, outsourcing is an impediment, and outsourcing is inherently corrupt. You can never have ethicals in an environment where there's outsourcing, because there are deals which are made by people with private owners and with landlords, so which benefit them unethically. So I think that's one part that this report is missing, and it contributes to our dissatisfaction. And then the last part, Chairperson, that we want to raise, we had asked a question from Advocate Shamila Batoyi, not because we have so much hatred against anyone. The only thing that we carry at our heart here is the best interest of the people and nothing else. We don't know anybody personally. We just know people through their appointments and through their responsibilities. And the only thing that we do is to assess their performance. And if we are not satisfied, we will say openly. And if we feel that they are not doing their job properly, we will just do a simple thing. We'll ask them to resign. The question that we had asked, which we're hoping that is going to be responded to, was a question of asking the NDPP, when is she going to tender her resignation letter to resign from that office, because we think honestly so, and even if we can have a one-on-one meeting with her, we can give more explanation, which will make her realize that we have nothing personal against her, but our thinking is informed by the assessment that we have made in terms of how she has executed her responsibilities. And we'll ask her this question, even if we can meet her in a birthday party, or even if we can meet her in a wedding, or even if we can meet her in town. When are you going to appeal to your conscience and resign as the NDPP and allow the president as the appointing authority in terms of the constitution and in terms of the statute to appoint a new, capable and competent NDPP who is going to execute, in terms of Section 22 of the NPA Act, her responsibility to intervene on serious matters when there's a need to intervene as the NDPP, and not come to the committee and say, I have not intervened. meaning I've abdicated a statutory responsibility, because an intervention is invited or is invoked by Section 22 of the